Hey everybody, it's Torrance of Swordguy Builds, and this is the first ever SGB whip project overview. This time we're going to be taking a look at an 8-foot 20 plait roohide bullwhip with pattern work inspired by Cecil Henderson. Any bullwhip build starts with the handle core, in this case a 1/4-inch steel dowel cut 10 inches long. In terms of form and construction, this whip will combine elements of both my Tachi and falchion models. I grind down the end of the steel to a slight taper, and also flare the cowhide core as it reaches the end of the handle so that there's a smooth switch from steel to leather. The core then gets bound tightly to the handle, and I can begin straining out the bellies. The first belly will go about 2 feet, and the second about 4 feet. Subtracting the length of the handle, this means my strands need to be about 20 inches and 5 feet, respectively, plus a couple feet each to taper off once the braiding ends. Both bellies are then doused with water, stretched over my hook, pared down to the right taper, and beveled. The first belly is bound to the handle, greased, braided, rolled, and bolstered. Then the same is done for the second belly. When the second bolster is applied, I also attach the heel foundation. This accounts for all internal components of the whip. I can now begin work on the overlay. The original plan for this whip was to make it solid saddle tan, but upon inspection of my hides, I find that they're all too scarred for me to believe I can get an entire 8-foot 20 plait overlay out of any one of them, so I decided to cut the saddle tan with whiskey. This will give an essential Western aesthetic, as well as adding visual dynamism to my pattern work. I score my hides and cut from a yoke so that the strongest part of the leather is right at the transition zone. The whiskey yoke is left a little larger because I need to ensure I have enough leather to comfortably cap off the heel. These strands are also then doused, stretched, finely tapered, and beveled. The result is 20 strands ready to braid. The best whipmakers can get away with minimal waste, though on this overlay I stranded a little too much. I know what patterns I want in the handle, so I take a moment to map out roughly where my braiding changes will happen. I can then grease my strands and belly. Braiding patterns can be arduous and taxing, especially with more strands. A benefit to braiding standing at a hook is the ability to easily turn the work around to see the underside. After roughly 7 hours of braiding, I finish the full 8-foot overlay and cap the heel. I can then carefully roll the whip to smooth the braiding and even out the tension. The accent knot will be tied using trimmed strands from the overlay, but the heel knot is made using fresh strands that also get the full preparatory treatments. For the sake of coverage, I'll do a 9-part, 8-bite Turk's head as the base, and then give it a herringbone interweave. When all of this is finished, I take it outside to shellac it. The finish work is now complete, and I can take it out to scrutinize its performance. As I test crack it, I don't necessarily pay attention to the volume, because any whip can be made to crack loudly. What I do pick apart is the evenness of the coil, the diminishment of the force, and the structure of the transition. This whip does hit a little on the hard side, so while it'll be a great whip for multiple cracks, it'll likely be an excellent target whip once it breaks in a little. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. This whip will be listed, along with many others, on the swordguybuilds.com in-stock page. There is a link in the description, along with links to all the other social media platforms. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one.